Hello and welcome to today's video. If you're new around here, then my name is Grace and I'm a mum to two little boys, both under 2 years old, and today's video is going to be all about just that and some tips that we have learned along the way of surviving with two children under 2 years old. So if you're new around here, then I've currently got a 20-month-old and an almost 6-month-old, both two little boys. So the age difference between them is 14 months, and I wanted to wait before I filmed this video basically because I wanted to experience two under two before I made a video about some tips. I wanted to see some things that really have helped us in the last 6 months of having two very young children. So this doesn't necessarily have to be two under two tips, this could just be tips for surviving with two young children, but we do have two under two, and I know that because of the pandemic and there are a lot of lockdown babies and more people are having two children close together at the minute, so I thought this video could be really helpful for anyone else in a similar situation. So without further hesitation, I'm going to get into the tips. If you like this video, make sure to click the thumbs up and hit subscribe if you're not already for more motherhood content. Okay, so these are just some notes that I've made on my phone as I've been going along, so they're not in any particular order, but these are just some things that we have found useful in surviving life with two under two. So one of the first things that I decided to do when I had my second baby boy Jasper was to set up some handy stations around the house. By that I mean like lots of nappy changing stations in quick convenient places, because when you've got a newborn, as you will already know, there's lots of nappy changes. Then you've also got your toddler in tow who still, I'm imagining like us, was in nappies, so your days are filled with nappy changes and you just need stuff conveniently in grabbable places. So we set up like lots of little baskets with nappy, you know, all your essentials, maybe wipes, something to keep your older toddler entertained if you weren't in a space with toys for them. So set up lots of handy stations around your house, especially this is probably more for the early days. I don't feel like we need this so much now, but it really helped us out in those first few weeks and months, just having grabbable bits wherever you were in your house. Which leads me on to the next point, and that is to stick to small areas of your home at a time. And what I mean by that is, like, in the early days and weeks of having two young children, I felt very overwhelmed by the thought of my whole house. So I would shut myself and my two children, when I was on my own, this is more for when you're on your own, once your partner's back to work, that kind of thing. I would kind of shut myself in one area of the house, and I felt more in control of that, because like I said, the whole house with two young children seemed really daunting. My older son had just started walking, so he was walking, he was a little bit clumsy, so I didn't want to feel like he had the whole run of an area. I wanted it to be quite enclosed, if that makes sense, and that really helped me in the early days just kind of survive on my own with the two babies. I had my handy station of nappies and whatnot like ready to go. I also what I didn't say is, like, I also had like spare change of clothes, so I didn't have to, like, if the baby had an explosion, I didn't need to run upstairs, I didn't need to leave my toddler and my two children. Have everything you need in one area, one enclosed area, for those early weeks, and it really helped me kind of learn how to be a parent of two under two. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it kind of really helped me. So yeah, staying in a nice enclosed space in your house, and then as the weeks go by you grow in confidence, as with anything, so then you can like open up a bit more space. So basically I started off where I am now in the playroom, so my toddler had this space and he had the kitchen, and then I shut the kitchen door so he didn't have the whole of downstairs. And now we're 6 months in, I'm so much more confident and he has the whole run of downstairs with me. We're all downstairs together, and yeah, just start off small and then build it up. And then another point regarding your older toddler is, once your like new baby comes along, you really have to up your baby proofing, because your attention is going to be split with your new baby, and if your toddler is like mine and walking and on the move, you know, you can't have all eyes on them all the time. So you need to make sure that everything in your area where you're going to be is completely toddler safe. So I'm talking locks on cupboards. We locked the cupboards, the bins, like the foam things in your doors, if you're going to leave your door open, door stops, that kind of thing, and just really baby proof, plug sockets, because if you're not looking for a split second, it only takes a split second sometimes for an accident to happen. So yeah, we really upped the baby proofing for my toddler so that he was safe, and then you're going to use that anyway when your next baby is on the move, so you probably would have that anyway, but just go round like with a fine tooth comb before your baby arrives maybe, or if you've just had your baby with your partner, and just go over what could be like an accident prone area, or just moving things out the way that your toddler might be grabbing, that kind of thing. So just up the baby proofing, make sure it's really, really safe for your toddler. Like I say, probably is going to be anyway, but you just don't know, do you? Because you're just so preoccupied with your new baby, and then like I say, your attention is split, especially if you're breastfeeding, if you're sitting down feeding your baby and you can't get up in a second. Just make sure it's really safe for everyone, and that just gives you peace of mind that if you're not like looking for a second, they're going to be okay. Obviously your attention is with them and you're in the same room, but it just gives you that kind of, like I say, peace of mind that they're safe and everything, so you can relax a little bit more knowing that they're okay. So I had this as a point to help you survive 2 under 2. It didn't necessarily work very well for us, but it might work well for you, and it is to wear your new baby in a carrier or a sling. I had all intention of wearing my baby Jasper so that I could be a little bit more like hands free for my toddler. But my baby didn't really love being in his carrier, and he is also a baby that does not want to be put down. So I had to learn to live with constantly holding my baby and look after my toddler, which I'm not going to lie, it is quite challenging, and I have found it really hard. I've opened up about this quite a lot on my channel, and I talk about it on Instagram quite a lot, that my second baby is quite a needy baby in the sense that he just wants to be held all the time. But if you can, definitely try and invest in a carrier because your baby might like it. Jasper just like, he could always tell when I was holding him in a carrier rather than just holding him, and he would like kick me, like he would like kick me his legs. He's always been a bit of a kicker, like he knows what he wants considering he was just a little baby. Yeah, if you can, try and hold your newborn, your second baby in a carrier, but if not, you do just have to learn to juggle constantly holding a baby. Unless you're lucky and your new baby doesn't mind being put down. Jasper doesn't really like it. He's only just now getting used to it, which has been hard, but that's a whole other story. I'll talk about that another time. Let me know if you want to hear what life has been like, but these are the tips of 2 under 2. But let me know if you want to hear exactly how it's been with my 2 boys. But yeah, he didn't really like being put down. I had all intentions of using the baby carrier, but it didn't really pan out. But I would advise that as a tip still, to try it. Definitely try everything. And then also we did use a swing with Jasper, which he was okay with. So if they don't like the baby carrier, you could try like a rocking swing, that kind of thing. Just try everything basically. Another little tip that I've got, which has been a lifesaver, particularly in the first few weeks. You're probably going to do this anyway if you're expecting another baby at the minute and you're kind of in the nesting phase. Stock your freezer up. Like, future you will thank you. I did so much batch cooking and organising before Jasper was born, especially when you're like toddlers eating meals, and it just gives you peace of mind that like you've got loads of meals in your freezer. Whether you're like me and you do quite a bit of home cooking, like just cook extra, or even if you don't do that, just like make sure you've got like meals that you're going to eat, like ready meals. Whatever you do it. Stock your freezer up, and future you will just be so thankful that you've done it. It was a godsend to me, to be honest, to have loads in my freezer ready to go, and just doing really kind of easy-ish meals. We just did lots of things that could go in the oven quickly or heat up, and that's another thing. If you've pre-cooked stuff, you can get it out of your freezer. All you've got to do is heat it up, and it's very helpful in the early days of 2 under 2. Speaking of food, I'm just going to talk about a few things, and one other tip that I would have, if you can, if it's like affordable for you, I would recommend getting food delivered, because it is one less job that you and your family have got to do each week. Like, I can't imagine going to the supermarket with 2 under 2. Having our food delivered every week has been a lifesaver. I've done a video all about home food deliveries and tips on that, so I'll leave that at the top of the screen. So definitely, if it's affordable for you, get your food delivered, or if not, like try and get family to do some food shopping for you in the early days, because it is full on in the early days, believe me. Having our food delivered was a lifesaver, so I would recommend doing that. And then another thing regarding like food and eating, with your evening meal and your dinner time, I would recommend eating early. I say this because it just takes up so much time in the late afternoon. Your older toddler will be getting tired because they've had their whole day. Your new baby, like, they get quite fussy in the evenings as well. So you want to eat your meal early. Like, we always eat as a family. I know not everyone does that, but I'd also recommend doing that. because then it just gets meal times out the way, everyone's eaten, you can get that sort of part of your day done with. So I would recommend eating your dinner time, like having your dinner time meal early, then everyone's fed, everyone's bellies are full, you've done that part, and then you can kind of concentrate on your evening routine. You can set everything up nicely for your toddler and your new baby, because I know that we did try and do a bit of a light routine with our newborn as well. I've done an evening routine of 2 under 2, so I'll leave that at the top of the screen for you there, and I'll talk about meal times more in that video as well. So yeah, eat your evening meal early if you can, then it's all done, you've got the whole evening. Like, you can either just relax with your new baby while your toddler's in bed, or whatever you kind of do, just get it done and it's out of the way then, isn't it? Like, I just used to dread the evenings in the early days, and having our meal early definitely helped. Okay, so speaking of routine, I think that a really good tip as well is to maintain your older child, your toddler's routine as much as possible in the early days, because there is going to be so much change for your first child in the first few weeks, and they're going to really strive off of familiar practices, and it's just going to be a comfort to them because there's so much going on around them that they will be completely aware of. The more you can try and keep a kind of regular routine for them, I think they will benefit from it, even if they like resist it at first. Like my toddler, because he knew that there was such a big new thing, like he fought his naps quite a bit for the first few weeks, but I just consisted to try and keep him going down for naps, consisted doing his bedtime at the same sort of time. My older son was very much a creature of habit, like he strives off of routine, so we had to really keep that in place for him. I know not everyone does the whole routine thing, but we were in a good routine with Elliot, so that's my older child, so we really tried to keep that going when Jasper came, and I think that he benefited from that. And now I wouldn't worry too much about getting your new baby in a routine, because they don't get in routines for ages. But if you've got one with your older child, keep it as much as you can and don't change too much too soon, because obviously there will be changes, but keep as much of that routine. Like for us, it would be dinner time, then after we cleared up with dinner, it would be go up, run the bath, wind down, and then maybe a book, maybe some, I don't know, just a bit of upstairs time, and then it would be bedtime. And my toddler knew that routine really well, so we just kept it wherever possible. So yeah, try and keep your toddler's routine so that there's not too much of a change all at once for them, and then they will just get gradually used to all the new adaptations to their routine as their sibling gets older. So yeah, even if they fight it at first, really keep pushing to keep a little bit of familiarity for them, because they will be comforted from that. Another thing that's really helped me in surviving 2 under 2 is to try and get out each day on a daily walk, which is easier said than done in England, especially now we're in the winter. I was quite lucky that I had my second baby in summer, although it was like really hot, so we had to be careful, but I would recommend, if you can, just get out for a daily walk. It is bloody hard, I'm not gonna lie, getting out the door with 2 children, especially when you're on your own, but you will find your own little routine. But I really noticed the difference in my headspace if I've got out. It really does benefit me, and it benefits my toddler, and then as your second baby gets bigger, you'll all benefit from it. But this one's more for you, because you don't get much time in those early days to yourself, and it's just, I don't know, 15 minutes, even if you just go out round the block, it really does help you to get out and see something different than the 4 walls that you've been surrounded in all day long. And so get out if you can. Like I say, it is blimmin' hard getting out the door, let alone when your partner's here, but when you're on your own, it is hard. Sometimes they're both melting down on the floor when you're trying to dress them. I find it so hard at the minute, because you have to put them all in their coats and boots, and you have to wrap up, rather than in summer just shove them in the pram. It is hard, but it's worth it, trust me. You just have to get out. And a tip that I would have, when you're on your own, when you're going out the door, you want to put your toddler, your older child, in their pram first, because they're the ones that can move around. Obviously your baby's just laying there, they're not going to move, so get them safe, put them in their pram, and then put your baby in. And then when you come home, I'd get the baby out first, because the baby's going to be the one that can just lay there, as I said, and then get your toddler out. It is a little bit of trial and error in the early days, and it's hard, but it definitely pays off, and I'm so used to getting out on my own with them now. And just build your confidence up. You don't have to go out far, but definitely try and get out. We don't have, like, for reference, I don't have a car. We share a car, so when my husband's at work, all I've got to get out is a walk, so I have to do a walk each day if I can. I don't always go out in the rain because that is a lot of effort, but God, it really helps your mental health and your mental headspace to just get out each day and clear your thoughts. Even if it's hard doing it, once you're out, you don't regret it most of the time. And we have the Joy double stroller. You've probably seen it if you watched my channel before. So yeah, I'd recommend that if you've got 2 under 2, because we've used that from birth with Jasper and with Elliot. So yeah, try and get something in place so you can go for a walk, either the baby carrier and your stroller. So I would definitely recommend that. I will add that another really important thing, I should have put this probably sooner in the video rather than at the end, but I didn't want to use this as a big thing because I know not everyone might have this, but it would be to utilise your support network where possible. So you will know what that is to you. We have my parents around the corner to us, so my mum and dad are like an easy port of call for me. I go around there a lot with them, and just if someone offers their help, I'm not one, like, I don't like asking for help, but it just helps me going around my parents and having an extra like pair of hands with my older toddler. Like in the early days, I'd go around there quite a lot, or my mum and dad would come here. So like grandparents or childminders, or if your older child goes to nursery, just use whatever you need to get a little bit of help, because it really does just make you feel a little bit like the weight is off your shoulders. I know not everyone is going to be fortunate enough to have that, so I feel really privileged that we have had my mum and dad around the corner. But try and get a little bit of support when you can. If someone offers to cook a meal for you, take it, or you know, just don't be afraid to go and get a little bit of support when you need to, because there will be times when you do. So if you can, definitely utilise that. As I say, my mum and dad have been an absolute godsend having them around the corner. Elliot loves my dad. He's just like his grandpa's like his little best bud. He loves going around the garden with them, and like it changes the scenery up if you're able to get out to someone else's house as well. So yeah, utilize your support network if you can. There's a couple more things, and one thing would be to like do small tasks daily. Don't try and do housework. That is not going to happen in the early days, but once your baby's been around for a little bit longer and you're a little bit more used to it, now what I do is I do like I dedicate a morning in a weekend when my husband's off to get a load of jobs done. So that would be like one small housework job, like clean the bathroom, and it will also be like batch cooking. I'll do like a load of cooking. I'll spend a couple of hours in the kitchen cooking a load of meals for the week ahead, and it's really, really helpful, because then in the week when he's at work, our dinners are cooked and I know that I've just done something productive. Again, I know not everyone can do that, but that would be something that I'd recommend. Do small jobs at once, or if you can, like when your partner's around, set aside a couple of hours just to do a few small tasks. Don't ever try and attempt to do too much at once. And that goes hand in hand with picking your battles, because I'm not very good with that one, I'm not gonna lie. I set the standard like that, and I know that I can't meet it anymore with 2 young children, but we are often our hardest critic, so we do just need to lower the standards a little bit, which is easier said than done. I need to do better at this, at lowering the standard. But as long as my 2 children are fed and healthy, that is my priority. And if that's all I've done all day, then it's a good job done. So yeah, lower the standards a little bit in the early days. That's what I would say. And then the last thing that I've put down in the tips for 2 under 2 is to stock up on dry shampoo, because you do not get time for yourself. Like even now, I don't get much time. Like it has been hard enough finding 20 minutes to come and film this video. Yeah, in the early days, there is not time for showering, self-care, nothing. Brace yourselves for a brutal few months, because it is the hardest thing I've ever done. Not to scare anyone, it's gonna be so rewarding now that like I've seen the boys laughing at each other and their brotherhood is gonna just grow and grow. I don't regret it at all, but it is hard in the early days. So yeah, let me know if you want to see a video of me talking all about 2 under 2. I know these have been some tips, so if you want to see more 2 under 2 videos, let me know in the comment section. I'm going to wrap it up here because I don't want it to be too long. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Hit subscribe for more motherhood content, and leave me a comment. Do you have 2 children close in age? I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.